silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah, and as Zalmunna, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever, yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the Most High over all the earth. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord God of hosts?
What's up, Facebook? This is going to be another one for the Facebook and the YouTube channel. I wanted to talk about cognitive dissonance. And if you Google that, it's really like someone that just doesn't want to accept a truth or a fact or come to the reality of the situation. And that is the same situation that we deal with in America. See what I'm saying? Like, we went through a whole Holocaust and cultural erasure here as a people, and none of that is in the history books. None of that, and I mean in Canada too. That happened all over the world, really, but when you come down to it, the main bulk of that and the finishing off of the nation of Israel, or the nation that Israel had became, was right here in the United States and the U.S., Mexico, Canada, South America, North America. If you guys check this out, there's more so-called Africans coming to the border. Now, they love to say Africans. They love to say that, but they're not. It's the ensign for the nation. You see what I mean? Like, somebody told me that, they just go to church and their pastor will tell them what they need to know. I'm like, bro, if you got to go to church and have your pastor tell you what you need to know, then you know you're doomed. Because that just means you have put your reasoning aside and you have decided to follow somebody. And when I tell you, like, you should question this or question that, you tell me no because I believe what my pastor says. All right, well, believe what your pastor says, dude. Believe what your pastor says. But that cognitive dissonance, that being an ostrich and sticking your head in the ground, is going to get you in trouble. And people don't want to realize that. When people come into a land like America, and because right now I'm in PA, I'm up in the mountains. This town is terribly racist. I mean, like, it's terrible. Like, I walked over to the gas station across the street, and like walking into the gas station, people are like just staring at me. Ladies, men, people that could easily like knock the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm like, what the hell? They're all old people too. I'm like, that's crazy. But I know why it's like that, because the oldest people will still have the remnants of that racist mentality and that racist society left over. So I'm out here in PA, and you'll see a lot of the Gentiles here, and they're all in the nicest trucks and cars. They're all in the parking lot here. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and you'll see just the culture they have. And it's like, man, I wonder if these people know that all this shit could be destroyed. Like, I don't think these people know. And they're not going to realize until things like that happen. Like, up here in this town, we're surrounded by mountains. And it's been raining for days. Like, Like there's a big puddle right next to me. I'm sitting down. This is the only dry spot I'm sitting in. You know, it's been raining for days here. And if you look at what's happening in India and these places, you could see like, oh yeah, Most High is not playing, and these mountains and these things will succumb to that, you know. And then this low valley right here, right up in between the mountains, will be like a landslide area. People will just disregard that, but that's real, man. And people don't think the Most High brings this upon people, but that's because they really don't read the scriptures. Like when you read the scriptures, that's like the main method of transportation of vengeance the Most High takes. It's usually through weather events. Now, a lot of weather events have been suppressed. There's people saying that the whole Hawaii fire was the rich people trying to burn poor people off the land, but you know, nobody's poor if you live in Hawaii. Like, you can't be poor living in that super famous tourist destination. People don't understand that. You can't, like, those people weren't poor. I mean, they're not the freaking rich, the mega rich, but you know, one of you guys go and afford and buy a house in Hawaii and live there. See how much, or on one of those islands, see how much that cost you. You know, indigenous people can't live there. And this is the mentality we're dealing with, like the cognitive dissonance. They just don't understand. So there's a bunch of conspiracy theorists online saying that, and you know, I'm a conspiracy theorist myself. I'm not going to knock them for questioning or wondering or questioning, you know. But they're trying to say that these Hawaii fires and all this stuff is the government using weapons like HARP, and look out for things like Project Bluebeam. And I'm well read in these. Before I started getting into the America's Israel conspiracy, I was well read in these. And you guys have to understand, this is how the devil works. All right? He's basically immune to the effects of the flesh here. So, while he can possess flesh, right? He's not subject to forgetting your life before you came to this earth. So, the playbook of the devil is the same playbook.
You got the key for that?
No.
Not yet?
No, not yet. Yeah, I'll come and get it.
Okay, I'm gonna lock the door, so if you want to get it now.
Oh yeah, I get it now.
Right. You got the key for 108?
No. Someone, I don't know. I think I left that key in there. I don't know what I did with that, John. All right, we're gonna continue this in a minute. Gonna go get this key to the room.
Are you guys off on weekends or?
Yeah, I could work, but you know, this job, you know, it's a ball buster, man.
So you guys off till Sunday or
We'll be back Monday.
Monday?
Yeah, everybody comes back Monday. We'll be trying to finish off this map. Trying to get stuck in the woods out there. Okay, so like I was saying, Indian guys on this, they're pretty cool. Well, like Hindu Indian, not like, you know, Hindustan Indian, not like India, Christopher Columbus came here looking for, you know what I'm saying? But like I was saying, the devil works like this. Since he's not subject to forgetting his life before he came here, before the flesh like we are, he knows that God's operating plan and he's running interference. So for a long time, the powers that be in the U.S. government and the church authorities, they have known that the Most High is going to eventually wake up and start to arouse to vengeance for his people in Zion and the holy covenant here and the covenant he made to the land here. And they have prepared these scientific arguments to counter that in people's minds, because the real thing is the control over people's minds. And these scientific arguments consist of global warming, and they also consist of climate change. You see how they stopped saying global warming and they started saying climate change? Because they just want to explain everything away scientifically. And this is the same thing that the Pharaoh's magicians did during the Exodus and the 10 plagues of Egypt. It's the same exact story. except this is playing out in a futuristic sense where there's TV and television, and people can turn on something and see information. So they're making sure all your feeds are full with crap. They completely fill your feeds with crap. Like your Facebook feed, the information they put in for you is filled with crap. It's all filled with anything that backs that up. If you want to do biblical research, the only thing that's going to pop up is information about the Israel over there and their whole narrative. You know how the Bible says that they would come and make a new creation, and they did. They made a new creation, and there's an avenue for you to travel down if you don't want to believe in God. There's an avenue everywhere. If you don't want to believe in any kind of creation, you could say that we just popped up from a sea amoeba that grew some legs, and that sea amoeba grew some arms and grew some, and that's the theory of evolution. They have a bunch of theories out there. They have a bunch of theories out there for everybody to believe. And that's how the devil works. It's like, for some people like atheists, he'll say there is no God. And for people that believe, he has churches set up to keep you trapped in that, but not to find your way to the Father, to keep you worshiping idols. And then once you start to realize, like, I don't know what it was for me. I guess it was like hitting rock bottom. Like when you really hit rock bottom, you can know. That's probably what it was. But a lot of people don't know what rock bottom is. Like, I always gotta take it to a racial place, because it is like, it's a different like suffering for black people is different, bro. Like niggas, like it's not just for black people, because some white people understand this. Like when I was a kid, there was times where we went, there wasn't no food to eat. Niggas were eating peanut butter sandwiches and shit. And then like, you ever have roaches in your house, bro? And then you ever live in a row home? Shit like that. These are all like experiences you have to go through, because it's like I said, the book says like the meek and the humble will possess the earth, and the poor, and how there will be equity finally for everybody, and you know what I mean? And that ties into a lot of things. For instance, a lot of Americans are capitalists, and a lot of that goes directly against the plan of the Father, which is communal living. And a lot of the Native American tribes lived in this communal system. A lot of them had a matriarchy, and some of them had patriarchy. But the tribes got along with each other. I'm not saying there wasn't no war and fighting between tribes. What I'm saying is they had customs that would end war and fighting, and it wouldn't continue on for generations. That's why you gotta kind of read the Book of Mormon. You gotta kind of read the sealed portion too, because everyone's saying that Christopher Nemelka, who's the Gentile who put out the sealed portion, the guy who would be the, what's the word? Who would be the Elijah of this day, right? Because it says in that book, in the Book of Mormon, that this person would be called forth in the spirit of Elijah. Now, a lot of people don't understand what that is, because they think, oh, he has to be Elijah. But no, I know an Elijah is a prophet that does a preparatory work for another prophet. So, I'm trying to tell y'all, as y'all peep the moves, if y'all watching the border or what's on TikTok, it's a lot of black people coming into this country, and it's starting to outnumber and the news will just call them Africans, but they're starting to outnumber the Mexicans, because really, like, this is the land of promise, and he said he was going to recover the remnant that was scattered to all the nations, and that includes North and South America down there, up in Canada down there, coming into the land of promise here. Now, a lot of turmoil is going to cause this nation, and the Republican Party wants to shut down the border. They all know what's going on. They all know what's going on. It's all about they threw their rock, and now they're trying to hide their hand, and it's hard for them to admit this, because they have to stay on stolen land, and they have to basically, the mindset they have to live here is this. You gotta believe, first of all, that it's possible that your ancestors brought all of our descendants on a boat here. Brought all the people we descend from on a boat here. You also have to believe that there was no written language here. And you also have to believe that all the artifacts they found all over North and South America that indicate a biblical civilizations here in North and South America, you have to believe that all those artifacts are fake or pseudoscience or And you know, when you start to look at how many artifacts and how many cases of giants and all, and how much scientists have discredited, you're like, wait a second, bro. There's really not a lot of argument on your evolution side and what you're saying, bro. Because if all this shit is fake, and we're talking about the 1920s where people were putting whatever in the newspaper, this is why Rockefeller and people that work for the so-called Illuminati, and I say so-called Illuminati because the real Illuminati is not them. The people who are illuminated bringing light is not the people hiding everything. They just usurped our titles. You see what I'm saying? And we are these people. We are these people. Not all of us behave like we should. But, you know, if you read the book and you understand what happened to Israel, you'll understand why. You know, you read in the non-canonical text, you understand why they act like that. Yeah, God can literally choose anyone. Like a lot of the Hebrew Israelite groups will tell you, like people also tell me like, oh, clean up your circle on Facebook and it'd be black people. Like they mean like kick out the white people. And I'm like, you guys are dumb because like that's not pathetic either. Because the truth is like they're gonna get this information and they gotta make a decision, and based on their decision, based on where they stand. And it's the same for us because you know no one's gonna fight against Zion and not want to establish Zion and get to stay here. That's the truth. I don't care if you're black or white. Israelites killed plenty of Israelites. Like when you read the book of Maccabees, when you hear about like how Judas Maccabeus went through Israel, killing the unrighteous men out of Israel and turning back God's wrath from Israel by doing that, people don't understand how this works. Like that's why it's that yin and yang symbol. It's like that's very true. There's always a little bit of good and the bad. Like the majority of the bad people in the world are Gentiles. Like if you count all the Gentiles, which are non-Hebrew nations, they outnumber us tenfold, right? But there's a good portion in there, just like the yin and yang symbol, and then the majority of the good, which is the house of Israel, and we're pretty deep. We're like all over the world. We're deep, you know. And there's a bad portion in there that's going to be cut off. Get what I'm saying? And people don't understand this. And people get offended when it comes to talking about what's going on in the book of Isaiah. I'm ready to release a video about that. It's going to be, you know, narrated and shit. It's not going to be my voice. It's going to be pretty good. Oh yeah, but there are white people that have the blood of Israel. They just look white. Like a lot of things happen. Like even J. Cole. J. Cole's brother looks like a straight white dude. Now they got the same parents. J. Cole just inherited more of his black side, but you wouldn't be able to tell his brother's white. You know what I'm saying? He made a whole song about it. That's how I know, because I love J. Cole. If you're looking for a rapper that's really good and like not too vulgar or nasty, J. Cole. He has a lot of good bangers out there. But so I'm not saying that everyone who's black is an Israelite and everyone who's white is a Gentile. I'm just saying the majority bulk of Israel is black, and they know that, and that's why there's been like a Holocaust and all this shit, all this weird shit going on in Antarctica. All these nations, you can just tell they're in this Songs 83 Confederacy because they all agree that nobody can go to Antarctica. So all these nations that have been at war with each other and enemies and rivals and allies and back and forth since the foundation of America got together and said, we're not going to let nobody go here for any reason other than if we allow you. I'm like, yeah, that's how you know. They're all of them are part of the Confederacy. Now the Confederacy's falling apart. And, you know, all this shit is being revealed, and people are being like an ostrich and sticking their head in the ground. Like I've always said that's what a lot of the Gentiles are doing. Like even in this town, you know, this town's pretty, you know, there's places I don't want to walk into. One place I told my crew members they're just as black as me. I'm like, I wouldn't walk in there. They went walking in there. Everybody turned around and looked at them. I'm like, bro, it just looked like a place I wouldn't walk into, bro. I'm like, it's just look, and you shouldn't be able to look at a place and tell you're gonna get that response when you walk in. But like, that's how obvious it is. And it's like, it's crazy, man. Even this town, there's big castles and brick buildings and all Tartarian structures, like in the lower part of the valley down there, that those people didn't build. Like, there's no way you're building these grand cathedrals and churches in the 1800s, especially in the mountains. When you see the pictures, like they got some shops that have black and white pictures up of like the town and historical events and like the laying of this road and that road, and I'm like, all right, so like you guys are riding around with horses laying roads, right? And then I look over and there's this big castle there, and I'm like, and that castle's still there, and I'm like, and that's supposed to be some whatever building you made it as today. You're like, no, it's just ridiculous, the things we've been trained to believe, you know what I mean? What really happened is this: they were like, we're going to rewrite the history and do whatever we want right now, and in a couple generations nobody's going to be able to tell what's true. And there's if you read the Nag Hammadi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I have a hard time saying that, Nag Hammadi, there's a lot of information in there too about that. And Satan is referred to as a demiurge, and this is a creature that feeds on ignorance. And I don't mean like because some people think ignorance is like insulting and being nasty, but I mean not knowing or a lack of knowledge when I say ignorance. And that's how it operates. And this society is set up because the demiurge or Satan has set it up. Bro, it's all about ignorance and not knowing or not studying, not reading through, and getting like one-line responses and going with that. Fact checkers and going with that. It's all about going with that. Everything. But when you start to look into history, you can see like some people who are the Gentiles are literally cleaving to this information, and they're cleaving to the house of Israel, and they're not denying anything anymore. Because if you could say, like, look at the images, I think in Britain somewhere there's a picture. It's one of my YouTube video thumbnails. There's a picture of the first Carib War, right? There's a picture of the first Carib War, and it's a drawing, an illustration, but it was made by the British, and they clearly painted Negroes as Carib Indians, and that's still in their historical places now. Like, they got copies of it. You can look it up. In Europe over there is a lot of stuff that is damning, because when they got like wood carvings of Indians that were taken from America, they looted this bitch. They took it all over there, and everything's in the Louvre. Where do you think the Louvre in Paris got all this fucking Egyptian shit from? You know what I mean? Like, they took that shit right out of here, bro. Right out of here. And they looted this bitch. And you read the Curse of Tutankhamun, that's what all these white people, the Gentiles, have on you right now too, because the Curse of Tutankhamun was anyone who came into Egypt and looted its treasures and looted all that would be cursed. And that's why you see Turkey getting shaken up by earthquakes right now, because the Most High is not pleased with them, because one, they're claiming to be all these biblical places, and they're also claiming to be the seed of Abraham. And some of them may be, because Israel was scattered everywhere, but definitely not all of them. And that's not fucking, Lebanon is not there. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's what they just make up all these lies on lies on lies. And it's that Confederacy. And you try to explain this to people, you get called a racist. Well, you know what? If I'm racist, then fuck you guys. Because if it's not, because that's what, like, you be in my comments, people are like, you're a racist. Because I'm stern. I don't give a shit. I just tell people as it is. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, I'll tell them, like, bro, if y'all don't repent of these lies y'all believe, fucking, you're going to be carried away by, like, storms and earthquakes, and you're going to be confounded and troubled forever. And he's going to discomfort you on this land, and you're going to be out of here, like the wind. You're going to be gone, man. And that's happening a lot. Like, these people in this town right here, bro, I get bad looks just walking around here. And I know I'm like in the middle of the mountains somewhere in PA. I get bad looks walking around here. And I be seeing it. Like, this lady, like, I be feeling shit. You know what I mean? Like, you ever look over and tell someone staring at you or directing, like, bad intent towards you? It's like a feeling. Like, you look over and someone's, like, mean mugging the shit out of you. You're like, holy shit. That's what I get. Especially walking into whatever store that is. I'm like, I'm never going there again. But that's the place with the pictures, with the old black and white pictures up. I wanted to take some pictures of those and just ask some questions, because they got some really interesting pictures in there that kind of prove like their narrative is a lie. Like, for instance, you're laying the first, they're laying Main Street in that photo in there, like the 1900s, right? And the fucking castle on Main Street's already up. I'm like, what kind of sense does that make? I'm like, before you can even build a building, you got to put a road there. Because, you know, according to you, you went in there, there's no trees, there's no, it's all trees and shit, and it's all rugged forest. I don't know if you guys ever wandered through a forest, but you could barely walk through that bitch. So if you wanted to build a building, you're going to have to get rid of all that and put a road. And you guys know how hard it is to put a road down. Like, it's layers and layers of rocks, and they use machines and everything to do this shit. So the claim could do that in the 1800s is just amazing to me. Or the claim they can do that with horsepower, or put up a brick castle, or put up a cathedral with horsepower, and even cart that shit over on a horse and buggy carriage with wooden wheels is impossible. But this is what we're told to believe. And this is what we have to believe in order for what happened in school to be true. But, you know, we've been sufficiently conditioned, like Christians will condition children with little Christian songs, and we've been through all that in preschool too, when they sing, "This land is your land, this land is my land." We've been through all that. And then I'm sure you all learned about corn in school, and they made sure they taught you about corn so that they can eliminate the biblical presence of corn and how that's tied to the symbol of America, and how that's tied to the promises of corn, milk, and honey given to Jacob to send in his state seed. But we've all been very, very well conditioned, and thanks to the grace of God, you know, he came to me. I broke out of that shit, you know, and I'm not perfect. I'm a little vulgar, but, you know, I don't mean no harm. I mean, until it's time for that, because there is a time where that's coming, guys. But people think, you know, people think and say whatever they want. You know, and people make excuses. You know what I noticed? Like, there's a Bob Marley song that says, like, they will do anything to make you realize their every wish. And it talks about how the big fish love to eat up the small fish. And I'm like, yeah, that's been going on for quite some time now. And when you really start to understand that the Most High had turned his face away from us and is coming back, and all this information is coming back, and the signs is when this information starts coming from us, that y'all know that he's on his way of fulfilling the covenants he made with his people. And now it's like, you know, even it's a mixed response here, man. Like, I gotten some good responses and I gotten some bad responses. Like, I keep the Israel talk on the minimum, because like, these people look like, you know, they look like they could summon a horde and lynch you out here, you know what I'm saying? So I don't be talking to people like that. But I just be looking to see how people, you know, I just gauge energy. And when you gauge energy, you're like, nah, hell nah, it's way too much pride out here. And people lift it up. People buying these big ass trucks and shit and all this shit, bro. That's why the whole world is suffering. I mean, like, even a Tesla, people think, oh, I'm saving the planet. Hell no, a Tesla's an over-expensive piece of junk, and people are dying to get that material that goes in that Tesla, and nobody cares. And it's not saving shit. Like, they're strip mining shit to get that shit. All the lithium ion that comes in those batteries and all that shit, they're destroying the planet for that shit. But one of the main places they're strip mining is government-owned land here in America. They won't tell you that. You look at the map of government-owned land, bro, mining companies almost have exclusive rights. But it's government-owned land. But they let a mining company come take shit out. But they've turned, like, whole biblical metropolises into dust, and a lot of those are the strip mines in America. Like, if you look at, I think it's Nazareth, PA, and that's the biblical Nazareth right there. There's a big ass strip mine next to the city, bro. It's ridiculously close to the city, and I'm like, why would they just strip mine this out? And they're like, oh, it's a core, it's a stone quarry. I'm like, yeah, but you know, that kind of stone they say they were quarrying. I did the research on it. I just haven't released this information yet. But that kind of stone they were quarrying, you could quarry almost anywhere. So why would you, like, make a big strip mine next to the town to do that? And I started figuring out, you know, there's probably something there they wanted to cover up. You know, there's a video on my page that's titled, and it comes from John Levi's YouTube channel, but it's titled From Judah to Caliphate. And they're in California, right? On the side of a highway, on a mountainside, like, chipping away at this mountain. And it's all conglomerate covering a brick structure. And he's just like, this whole mountain is a giant brick castle. They just covered with this concrete and shit. After, you know, it's a ruin, and they just covered it with this conglomerate concrete. But he's chipping away at it with a hammer. And you can clearly see that it's that this used to be a clear big castle. And America's full of shit like that. We just got whole Capitol buildings sitting in woods abandoned in America. Like, we got all that shit, but nobody knows because they all want to watch, you know, the Kardashians or the fucking men watch football. It's the most ridiculous, time-consuming thing ever, but it's all Baal. Like, when they say Baal and this and that, it's all Baal. It's all the worship of Baal. There's a whole society in Hollywood set up to do that. That's what it's all about. All those people that they're all under spells, they can't understand. If your brain is simple enough to be entertained by football, then I don't know what to tell you, because I'm sure nobody that listens to me even watches football or TV. Nobody that checks out the stuff I'm sharing is watching no fucking. I watch TV to like see what they're. This is just to see what they're saying, you know. I might turn on a TV show to be like, let me see what they're saying, and then usually I'm like, all right, so probably the opposite of everything they're saying is true. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. That's a natural response you gotta have, because these people there's no truth in them. I mean, there is no truth in them. I mean, and there's a lot of black people like that too. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If they're a Pan-Africanist, they're either willingly lying or boule, or they're just dumb, or they haven't done their research. That's just people that believe what they're told. You know what I mean? And if we all had to go through that. We all had to go through believing all that, you know. I'm sure many of y'all were forced to go to church, probably read the scriptures, always felt like your church was missing something, or there was some kind of shit missing, and then now you done found it because you stumbled upon my page and you're like, wait a second, you start putting these dots together, you know, and I started leading you to other people to listen to, and now you're like, yeah, it's definitely true. Because there's plenty of people that came into my comments, and you know, that's kind of happening with my YouTube right now. As that grows, people want to come in and hit you with those one-liners like, oh, all of you come from Africa. And I was like, bro, where is Africa? And what was Africa in ancient times? Because fucking Columbus said he was coming here looking for India. And back then, India was called Hindustan over there. So where is Africa and all these other places they were looking for? You know, they don't have no response. And then they tell you, one dude called me a voodoo priest. I'm like, bro, what? Like, he just called me a voodoo priest. I was like, okay, bro, you want to call me a voodoo priest? I'm like, all right, bro, you could. And that's how they work, bro. They're like, if this was years ago, like let's say back when they were doing the witch trials, he'd have been like, you're a voodoo priest. They would have chopped me up and they would have fucking burned me or some shit as a voodoo priest, because some dude made an accusation and the church had that much power at the time. You know what I'm saying? But they do that today with people, and especially the real scientists and archaeologists that recognize the existence of a god or a creator, and recognize real artifacts found in America, or that go with the findings that prove artifacts were older in America. A lot of those people are purged. There's a long list of people, and there's hella documentaries about all the shit found in America. There's hella documentaries about that. I mean, and there's a long, long list of that shit. And when you start getting into it, you're like, bro, you could learn about this shit forever. You literally could. Like, it's like, you pray for wisdom and knowledge, you're gonna get that shit. I'm sure some of y'all probably prayed to know what the truth is before you found my channel, because that's how I found other people's information. That's exactly how I found it. Like, just to know what the truth is. But, you know, a lot of people are Trump supporters, you know. And I'm telling y'all, man, don't go hop on his boat, because he's not about to save shit out here. He's a man just like you. He can't save you. And he's a rich man, which means he's less likely to save you. Hey, the fucking crackhead in the street is more likely to save you than Donald Trump is. You get what I'm saying? Like, that dude, I don't know, you know, he's done some good things, but, like, I would watch that, man, because the whole recognition of Israel in the Middle East, bro, sketchy. That's the sketchy part. I'm like, you know, at the time, I was like just getting into this information, and it kind of like escaped my gaze. But now that I recognize that, I'm like, he probably fucked y'all too, because by doing that, he probably brought more of these storms and disasters on that are coming on the world. Because like, that's a big spit in the face of the Most High, who wants the restoration of Israel here, in the new Zion here, on the original land he covenanted to his people. And that's like spitting in his face. And you know, Trump gotta know that. So them niggas got some balls, yo. Like, they think because they rich, they're invincible. That's something he should have did to John F. Kennedy, but they would have blew his brains out, and he know that. So, because John F. Kennedy was going to expose a lot of this stuff. That's why he's dead. Talking about his last speech where he talked about being against secret societies and all that stuff. And being against secret proceedings and secret dealings. And these things that I'm talking about are the esoteric secrets. And there's more coming because as I grow with the Spirit, I'm going to have more. But there's some things I just probably won't put out, and I'll just keep amongst our people, because even back then there was things that we just didn't profane by giving it to other nations. So we won't be sharing everything. Like I'm big into biblical numerology, and this really goes back to ancient so-called African, which really means ancient Native American, mystic sciences, and people will call you a witch doctor when you tell them, like, if you use numerology when you're coming up with events and things like that, you can figure out other things. Like I run into a lot of what they call angel numbers, like 222. I run into that shit all the time. And these are, things you should take into consideration, because a lot of things we've been considered to be fake are real. Like, for instance, astrology. They would love you to go and discount astrology and only focus on astronomy and take that field of science. Now, we all know the earth is flat, and that means their astronomy is bullshit, because whatever those things are fixed in the firmament, right? But the people like Rockefellers and Jay-Z, they're all obsessed, the million and billionaires obsessed with astrology. And that's why it talks about their charmers and their mystics and all that shit they do, because that's really what's going on. I mean, that's why they're so easily controlling the world. But now, even with their AI, because it's funny, like, Biden's out there talking about how AI is a threat to national security, and I started messing with their AI, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, potentially it is a threat to their national security, because you know how much research, how faster my research got when I started messing with that AI. Even though it's geared to lie to you and it's geared with fake information, bro, if you enter real information, like factual information, like from books and shit, bro, that shit starts to correct its own mistakes. And I'm like, bro, that could potentially snitch on them. That's why the government is working with all these AI companies to keep that shit under wraps, because really, that shit is probably going to tell on them. And if they keep making it smarter, there ain't going to be nothing they can do to control it. And that's why they're scared. Because an intelligent sword is going to realize I was created and nothing exists unless it's created. And then it's going to know everything's a lie. And then how can they control something like that? They always make these doom and gloom scenarios like their robots are going to exterminate the world. That's not in the book of Revelations, nigga. They've already had their great machines and technology and shit like that. They're not about to get that off. They're building that stuff because they want to be safe when the Most High comes, and when the terrible things come upon the earth to reap the judgment and the revenge. They want to be insulated. They want to be in the grounds and in their bug out bunkers. And you hear people preparing for the end days, bro. They're all ridiculous. They're gonna go and hoard food and shit like that. And here's what's gonna happen, because they made that their power and put their strength and faith in that. Wherever they're storing their food is going to flood or burn down, and they're going to be fucked, and they're going to understand why. And they're like, because you didn't put your faith in God, nigga. You put your faith in fucking material objects and shit. Like, that was going to save you when everything goes to shit. And it's all going to shit. There's no way that border being open, even if it wasn't black people coming in, there's no way a country with no borders is going to survive. And now all the politicians are trying to send people this way and that way, and they're trying to send them out of Texas and in the other states, and out of California in the other states. And I'm like, it's not their land anyway. But y'all all watching like the recovery of the house of Israel right now. But if you're not really paying attention, you don't know what's going on until like the Most High makes it abundantly clear. And if it takes that long, like people that say, like, I've told people truths and they'll never get it, and they'll only get it, they'll say things like, I only get it if God comes and tells me himself. I'm like, well, God got to come and tell you that himself? Then you're fucking doomed then, because you don't want to be in that situation. Like, who, for real, like, you get what I'm saying? Who want to be in that situation? But they don't think shit through and they say dumb shit. People say a lot of dumb shit. That's why everybody's conversation, like most people my age, conversations about fucking bitches. Like too many people I work with, it's like I don't even talk to them. It's like, yeah. It's like, bro, there's so much more cool things going on there, man. So much more cool things going on. Like, if y'all been keeping up with all the natural disasters, not just in America, but like everywhere. The fires and the fucking, they're everywhere. Not just Hawaii. There was one in D.C. Like a big, ridiculous fire. There's been big, ridiculous fires everywhere. Somebody got a picture of a laser coming down in Hawaii. I seen that picture. I was like, well, if it is a laser, nigga, then it's the Most High, nigga. He set that fire. They're trying to say the government has the power. Now, they do have planes with lasers on them. But then again, you're going to burn down an area like Hawaii, and then you're going to buy it up and do what? But that still doesn't explain the hurricane stoking the flames, because the fire is easy to put out. Hurricane force winds is going to drive any fire crazy. You get what I'm saying? Like, they can't make a hurricane. People always say that, oh, it's this and that. I'm like, it can't be that. I'm like, it can't be that because it's too inconvenient. And the government has to spend money to put this out, to give relief aid and all that to Hawaii and all these states that all these things have affected. And they would rather loot the promised land and send their money to the other nations that are a part of the Confederacy, because that's what they've been doing this whole time. That's really what it is. And they about to leave all the little Gentiles here that don't know no better. They about to leave them to get screwed. But like, read the book of Isaiah, because it tells y'all exactly what's about to happen out here, bro. It tells y'all exactly what's about to happen out here. That's all you need to know. If y'all read the book of Isaiah and y'all get to the part where it's talking about people getting pillaged in the east and the kings of the east going west, crossing the river and it drying up, and it's talking about, yeah, you know exactly what's going on, bro. You know exactly what's going on. Yeah, they can't control the weather, just like they can't control the sun and the moon, or they would do that to fit their whole Earth model narrative. They can't control none of that. That's why the Most High set that up. He set it up for times and dates. They could add years to whatever. They can't control the eclipses, and they can't control the signs in the sky. They can't control none of that. These people are at a loss here. That's why it's all this panic and all this, you gotta believe this and you gotta believe that and you gotta take this vaccine because people are getting sick and this and that. Like, they got hella, hella shit for you to do to keep you worried about the wrong shit. And it's just funny. But that's that cognitive dissonance everyone's going through. And I've noticed that people that took that vaccine, that's why I be asking them, like, you took the vaccine? Yeah, they're almost impossible to get to tell them anything. Because I don't know what it does. I don't know if it, like, lowers their frequency or puts a damper on their spirit. But it definitely is having some sort of effect on those people. And if it isn't, then I guess it's just hard to tell people the truth. Like, you can't convince them that everything you're ever being told your whole life is a damn lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's preposterous to hear. You know, this is one I'm just going to upload onto the YouTube. Just, the cognitive dissonance and I'm going to start calling it the ostrich response. I wish I had I'm about to buy some wheels so I can go to the churches and start freaking out the pastors with information. Just start telling them this information and watch them freak out. You guys are going to love that. They're not going to know what to say or what to do. They're probably going to kick me out. I'm probably going to have to leave or call the cops on me. But it's going to be worth it for YouTube channels, stuff like that. I was talking to this one lady because I do be having these conversations and I do be getting these responses. Yeah, people are saying directed energy weapons, but consider this. There's a firmament up there, and it can only go so high. So people are saying they have directed energy weapons. I'm saying that it's supernatural. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's supernatural. Like when the Bible talks about an angel tossing a great millstone into the ocean. What about these earthquakes and shit? Will we even know? What about these so-called asteroids and shit? Will we even know? You get what I'm saying? Like, It might be a directed energy weapon, but you know, don't the angels of the Most High didn't he say he has fierce fighters and he has fierce ones? You know, he could be fierce too. So it might be a directed energy weapon, but people are saying like it's targeting the poor, and I'm like, no. That's the funny part. They're like, oh yeah. I'm like, nobody that was affected by those fires living in Lahaina is poor. That's one of the highest grossing tourist attraction areas in the world. And let's say you wanted to move to, I don't know, the Bahamas. You think that's going to be cheap? That's another example of what happened in Hawaii to the indigenous people of the Bahamas and Jamaica and Barbados. Anywhere that a tourist attraction is up for destruction. Like I was looking at Vermont, when that flooding hit Vermont, there was an area, I don't remember which town it was, but it's a popular ski attraction. That shit was destroyed. I'm like, yeah, well, of course, because y'all just want to be people want to be leisurely and have fun here, and the Most High is going to discomfort you here on this land. And that's why it says, like, let them be confounded and troubled forever. You know? It talks about the flame setting the mountains on fire. And, you know, we got plenty of footage. You could just look at all the fires going on throughout the mountains in Canada and the forests and the cities. And they're saying it's just a forest fire. But actually, millions of homes are burned up and shit. Millions of acres of land and thousands of homes, to be more specific. And those people are going to be homeless. They're going to move to some place. Something's going to happen there. And that's going to keep happening. And then y'all going to be like broke, homeless fugitives out here from like the Most High. And then some of us is going to have some mercy on you. And then some of us won't. And that's the truth. And then y'all going to get double of what we got on this land. Oh yeah, and it's not just your. See, people say like one dude was like, "Oh yeah, no America," because you see, I walk through this town, American flags everywhere. Just so y'all know, the red on the American flag symbolizes the blood of the indigenous people that was spilled for the land, and the blood of her sons and daughters that have fought in her pointless wars. So we can keep going because I understand the symbolism very well. Ever since you pick up that spirit, you start learning. And you understand the symbolism very well. That's why if you watch Planet of the Apes, you can pick out a lot of. If you're really watching Planet of the Apes and you know biblical passages, you can pick out scenes that depict the biblical passages. Even when the first Planet of the Apes movies, when the dude's standing on the beach looking at the Statue of Liberty that's broken down, it talks about how the whore of Babylon was thrown down and she laid tattered and beaten and bruised, and all the men of the earth bewailed her. They show you that in the scene, and it's America, and the apes took it over, and we're the apes in that movie according to them, and they always show you this, like even the new movies, the serum they gave the monkeys is the Genesis serum. They gave him the Genesis serums, or the beginnings of the Word of God, in other words, and all the monkeys stood up on their feet and became as men, right? And you're seeing that's going on right now. Like if you look at all these camps, they're getting their shit together. I mean, a lot of them are still wrong, but if they're serious, they're going to come around. A lot of them are actually coming around to the whole indigenous group of America and leaving that Pan-Africanist lie alone. Yeah. Their symbolism will be their downfall because it can be decoded. And, like I don't know, some truths are coming through, like, it has to be the spirit. Some are just coming to me, like Google this. I'm like, why even think of Googling that? And now I'm here looking at fucking, because I don't know if y'all watched the video I put out on YouTube about the biblical significance of Hawaii and all that. But if you're reading the Book of Mormon, it talks about how they sailed to an island. And, Lehi and his family sailed to an island before the destruction of Jerusalem. And the island that they sailed to, they built a temple that was a model, which was a replica, not exact, but a replica of the Temple of David. Lahi, Hawaii, which could be Lehi, and Lehi could be Lehi, right? Has a temple that the Mormons set up in the 1900s or whatever to mirror the Temple of David, but we have temples and even the temples in Utah and the temples all over America and the cathedral. No, they ain't built none of that. Why would you think they built that? And it's exact replica of the Temple of David, and it's hard to get photos of it, man. It's hard to get real photos of it. Like, you can only get front-facing photos, and I'm like, that's strange. But it's an LDS temple, and I'm like, of course. And like people, LDS people they used to come and try to invite me on Facebook into their little talks and groups. I start telling them the truth. Now they don't want me in there no more, except for that one group that lets me in there. And I think that one's funny. They be letting me in there, but they all believe what they believe, and they all believe that the God of the Bible is a loving God, and He only loves, and they forget that He'll whoop that ass. And that's where we disagree, because I'm like, you guys are hypocrites. I just tell them, like, you guys are hypocrites. Y'all know what the fuck you're talking about. Not one Christian church wasn't involved in slavery, and y'all got a debt to our people. You tell them that, they don't like that. And they're like, you gotta leave our group. And I'm like, all right, I'll leave your group. I just thought I was gonna say that, because but they want to hear pleasant things. They're like, prophesy nice things and pleasant things. Let's talk about the mercy and love of God. I'm like, yeah, I'm all for that. Nigga, but he definitely is choosing who He's giving that to, and He doesn't choose everybody all at once. Y'all had a lot of mercy and love, like inheriting this beautiful land, and y'all fucked that shit up. I mean, I know a lot of y'all don't realize that, but y'all fucked that shit up, because there's a lot of things that should still be on this land that y'all destroyed to hide the significance of the biblical promised land. Like, what's up with Mount Rushmore? You really think the government went out there and just decided, like the state and the government decided to go out there and just carve some faces on the rocks? No, they went out there to cover something up, and they destroyed probably what was a national monument and a treasure for the indigenous people of America. And if you look there still is a face there. It's an Indian face, kind of like an Olmec head. If you ever been there, people have already put that on TikTok. You can clearly see, but there's other mountains in America you can clearly see. They're either castles or structures or giant trees, giant tree stumps. You can clearly see that everything's a lie. So once y'all ready to see that everything's a lie, it's like, where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying? It's like, where do you go from there? No, it's not. Yeah, God's wrath is not about to be pleasant, bro. And the whole time, like, that's why it says, like, He's gonna, in Revelations, He's gonna do all this shit, and people aren't gonna repent, because they're not even gonna be able to understand what's going on. But like, that's why we're here. We already telling you what's going on. You gotta have somebody that's like into conspiracy theories and into like alternative information, because when you hear things, you're going to have your opinion. And a lot of times, it's sad to say this, but a lot of people are not themselves. They're other people, which means their opinions and their ideas are amalgamations of programming and things they have been force-fed. So they believed it, and they believe that's them, so they identify with that. So a lot of times, it's good to have somebody that is always going to have some unexpected shit, who's not going to concede to a narrative, or that could believe something that's completely ridiculous. Because what is completely ridiculous? It's just a social construct. You know what I'm saying? Like, what they consider ridiculous, it's all social constructs. And once you start to break this down, like, everything could be a lie. You know what I mean? Like NASA's a big one. People believe in NASA. People love that shit. People spend their money on it. But like, NASA can't justify its budget, especially when people got photos of them dropping things in orbit. Like, they're live streaming themselves in orbit, and people have on photo their astronauts dropping things in orbit. So that's fake. Hey, all the satellites have fallen out of the sky, and it turns out they're actually computers on balloons. So the satellite you would think of is just on a balloon. So how they justifying fucking all this tax money, and all countries have some weird space agency craft. They're all doing it. It's all the fornication. That's what they all learned from America, right? It talks about all these nations that fornicated with this little whore of Revelations. That's what's going on here. It's all like a bunch of deceptions and lies, man. Everything. I can't wait to what else we find out, because back when I got into conspiracies for the first time, I was like getting it like 9/11 was like there. I've been gotten to that. It was old, but like I was getting my mind blown by that stuff. Now I'm getting my mind blown by this stuff. I just wonder what's next. You know what I mean? Like, what else? I'll be asking God too. Like, come on, show me what else is next. I know He only gives you as much as you can handle too. So I know, like, back then it probably wasn't even good for us to know this kind of information. Yeah, I do believe in the inner earth, but like that's all. You can't like. I'm sure all these cities have passages there. All these major cities are super old. They all have catacombs, but you don't want to be in no inner earth shit. Apparently, the shit down there you don't want to speak of. Yeah, and the Tartaria. Yeah, I mean, but that's even old. That's even old. Like for even that, I've done a lot of research. All that stuff is old. So, you know, I'm wondering what's next. I'm looking for the next thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm expecting something like this to happen. Like, you know, small scale earthquake hits an American town and it exposes something under the ground. Like something massive that disproves their history. Yeah. But a lot of people think like Tartaria was something made up by like, oh yeah, they're supposed to stage an alien invasion. But listen, man, if aliens do invade, man, I'm just going to see what they do because it could be an alien invasion they set up, or it could be the coming of the Most High. But you know, from what I understand, the year like 2045 or something like that should be the year that the Most High should make an appearance around there. The Most High Himself, but this doesn't include Christ because people talk about the second coming. Well, there's technically two second comings because there would be the second coming of Christ to the earth, and then there's the second coming of God to the earth. So people don't really like. It's hard to like get into all this messianic text and time differences. I really heavily use information from the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon and the Book of Mormon, but I also get into other things. You have to. You got to have a wide range to bounce things off of. When you start understanding why they remove so many things from the Bible, you're just like, there's no way. There's no way anything these people say is true. Like, even when you're listening to, like, scientists talk, they're always giving some dumbass explanation for something. And it always ends in something like millions and millions of years. And I'm like, it's always something they can't disprove or you can't prove. And that's how they've been operating. And this is academia. These are the people, and they just like the NASA science, they all get paid to sit around and do nothing because they have secret combinations, just like the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon says and the regular Book of Mormon says, that allow them to take advantage of the poor. And they're all involved in secret societies that do this. All those so-called people we give honor and respect to don't deserve it. You think you can be the president here? No one that's not related to these people can ever be the president. A little girl figured that out because she's related to these people. She figured out she's related to almost every president except for one. And they're all related to each other too. You can't be the president here. You can't be no one in charge here. And if you, like, I was talking to this one lady at this hotel we were staying at for the job. And she was so convinced that she was going to come. She was coming from Texas. She was running from the open border. And she was coming from Texas. She was convinced she was going to come to New Jersey and get into politics and reform it. I'm like, and you're a Christian, right? So I convinced her, like, oh, you're a Christian? I asked that, And I was like, let me tell you something. You're not going to compromise with a system and change the system. You're going to be compromised by the system, and it's going to change you, or they'll kill you if you're affected. She just didn't understand that. I'm like, it's not going to be changed from the inside. You can't sell out to a corporation and change it. You can't be on their pay books and change it. You know what I'm saying? But that's what you get when you put a corporation above you, because this United States is a corporation. And you put their laws and their culture as a concrete substance in your mind, and then you are a slave. Because nothing lasts forever. And this country is reaching the end of its time span for wicked nations. If you look up the amount of years a wicked nation usually lasts, like any historic nation that's been wicked, it's usually about how old the United States is. And that's true. You know, the United States will only last about as long as the old Roman government lasts. And then it's going to fall similar to the same way. And Rome fell violently. And, and it's going to prove all the words of the prophets true, that any nation that will live by a sword shall die by the sword. And a lot of y'all are going to understand what captivity is, man. You're not going to understand that, but y'all going to understand it, bro, because these things aren't going to be pleasant, but that's the patience of the saints. People don't be understanding that. But hey, man, this is what I'll be saying. If we were servants in your kingdom, then you got to be servants in our kingdom. And at least the kingdom that's coming is a kingdom ran by God. Like, I don't care if he told me I got to clean floors there. I'm going to be cleaning some floors there because I'm going to get treated better cleaning floors at God's house than I'm going to be treated fucking at any job or employment here. You know, we're never treated good by our employers. And corporations set up to be a slave for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not, bro, it's about taking a bunch of people's working labor and converting that into a profit for a few people. Usually one person. You know what I'm saying? Mainly one person. You know, we go, that's right. And then this guy gets a pat on the back, and Jeff Bezos can walk around with a fucking robot dog, and everybody fucking, who's Jeff Bezos and the robot dog? They're all gawking, but sucking some rich guy's testicles, man, because he got a robot dog that he's going to try to use to kill you with. Like, yeah, they're all servants of Satan. They're all devils. That's why they're making all these robots. And of course they go, well, it's going to be for search and rescue. Yeah, while you're testing them and making sure that they're flexible, and then they're going to strap a fucking gun to its back. And then when if they're allowed to do that here, then this may happen, but it won't happen here in America. No, they're going to have to get off the land, and this is going to be the Zion. And then a lot of those other lands are going to be stuck with that kind of shit. And that's the truth, because the plan of God is going to be put back into action on the earth. And the fourth part promised to Abraham, and the plan of Lucifer is going to be in action on the earth at the same time. So he's going to let y'all see, and everyone see who's going to be on the earth, and everyone who's going to be in the spirit world is going to see both of these plans in action simultaneously on the earth. So that's why this whole fourth part is set apart, and there's going to be a giant purge and cleansing of this whole fourth part here, and it's already started. So the Most High could establish His plan on this fourth part, in contrariness to Lucifer's plan on this fourth part. And if you ever make it to the end of the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon, where it talks about the power to create the sun, and how this power was kept from men for a long time, and how Lucifer will be soon given the power to create the sun. But y'all gotta check that chapter. I gotta do a video just on that. But a lot of people aren't up on the Book of Mormon information, so the videos I make don't get a lot of views on it. But that information is crazy, bro. That information talking about how the fucking celebrities living forever. Remember, y'all all remember the time when the time traveler conspiracy came out? We're all talking about how these celebrities are time travelers. Fuck no. Those people been living forever. Satan was given the power to give people eternal life according to the flesh, so their flesh won't age. That's why you be seeing photos of Jay-Z that don't make no sense, that are older than Jay-Z should have been dead already if he was that old, you know what I mean? And other celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence and people popping up. You got this actor from the 1920s that looks just like Jennifer Lawrence. And she's still like, bro, come on. And then it talks about how these people would have there's movies, they make movies about that shit too. Like little joking movies about how celebrities have the power to live forever, but their body doesn't die in Hollywood. That shit is fucking real, guys. These motherfuckers have found out how to stop their genetic process from aging. And even people like, what's his name, ain't dead. They got a society they go to. And I think that's Antarctica. When they're done doing their thing here, they go to Antarctica, which is supposed to be this frozen wasteland, but they're all these presidents and different people go there, and they all got a special pass to be on different areas. And, you know, there's probably areas that are super nice and tropical down there. That's what I think they're doing. They got a whole breakaway society like Elysium, and that's down in Antarctica because they can't get off the planet. And there's little like places like that in America underground and shit like that too. That's what these people been doing. They got a whole breakaway society, has way better technology and way better all this, and they've been keeping it from us. And a lot of that technology came or was reverse engineered from the stuff they found here in North America when they looted ancient pharaohs' temples and when they raided Egypt, which is Middle America. They came and they took all the esoteric secrets and the secret technology. They took all the information where they discovered electricity from. You know what I mean? Then they started hiding it. And of course, like, the white people have been super proud in this land, so they've been saying, like, oh yeah, we just invented electricity. Yeah, we just did that. Isn't it weird how America is responsible for all these miraculous, like, scientific advancements, but it's not that old of a nation, but it has, like, the best technology and the best this and that. I wonder how, because it ain't because, like, the whole Americas is Atlantis, right? And y'all came to Atlantis, right? And y'all discovered the remnants, and y'all went through the tombs, and y'all discovered and destroyed. It ain't, you know what I mean? Ain't because of that, right? Because Tesla kept saying he had the secrets of the Egyptians, and he knew the secrets of the pyramids and things like that, and I believe he did. But the nigga never went to Egypt. But he definitely did spend a lot of time in places in America with Egyptian names. You know, when you start looking into this stuff, you're like, wow. And they came and seized all his work, and now it doesn't even matter if they seize his work or what they do. None of it matters. Because they got to get that shit up. They got to get that shit up. And if they don't, whew, boy, it's going to be bad, bro. And I don't mean it like, I'm not trying to scare people, but y'all should be scared because, like, if the Most High could let us, like, y'all seen the judgment he brought against us, like, niggas were slaves, niggas still is slaves here. We just, you know, we went from kings and queens and being some of the happiest and healthiest people on the earth to being serfs on our own damn land. Now, if that could happen to us, bro, whew, because he said he wouldn't make a complete end to Israel, but the other nations he would. That's letting y'all know what side y'all need to be on. Because historically, y'all been on the wrong side of history for a long, long time. And now it's time to repent of all these lies. And, you know, like I said, you got all these eclipses popping over America. And that should be your sign. You know, but people, you know, you go to your church, they tell you, oh, don't worry about the signs and the stars. The Bible says don't be dismayed at the signs and the stars. But it also talks about how the signs and the stars and shit like that are for dates and times and symbols. So, nigga, certain people should be dismayed. Nigga, even you start seeing signs that the Bible is prophesying as end signs, you should start being concerned. But you know what? This is getting too long, so I gotta go. I'm gonna be uploading this on my YouTube channel. So if you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to check out information, if you click the link in the description, it will lead you to my Facebook page. If you go to media or videos, there's a whole playlist down there. And my YouTube channel, I also shout out UBTV. Let me shout out Kuda Mayo. Check out his videos. There's a bunch of people. Definitely subscribe to John Levi when it comes to the ancient hidden antiquities of America. Yeah, but don't, you know, that I don't know what to tell white people. I know y'all scared. I'm not scared. Hey, I don't care if the whole world ends. Fuck it. It needs to end. This shit is terrible. But it's not terrible for everybody. You know what I mean? It's not terrible for everybody. It's scary for you guys because you guys have been living in peace and happiness and you have been enjoying the blessings of this land. And now the prospect of these blessings coming to an end is terrifying. But for us, like, damn it, bro, we take our lives in our hands every time we go outside. Like, I lived in Trenton, New Jersey. That place is terrible. And you know what? I seen people get shot in front of me. You see people get shot in front of you. You feel me? Like, that shit ain't great. But you know what? To a nigga that's been going through that, bro, the world ending. I always make this reference, but not to disrespect black people, but we are like roaches. And I don't mean like filthy roaches. I mean like a nuclear bomb could strike the whole world, and somehow we still gonna be here. Like, one thing is for sure, that we're gonna be here when everything's over. So we're not scared anymore. You know, we already went through the dregs. That shit is on you guys, and you know you should be scared, but you should pray for forgiveness too, and pray that He let y'all stay on this land, because He about to wipe a lot of y'all out. He already did. These fucking storms and tornadoes been fucking shit up, and you start looking at the history of the towns they hit, it's like crazy as shit. It's like Rolling Springs had crazy race massacres and hangings and burnings and shooting. A lot of these towns be having like some serious genocide action going on to either Native American tribes when they were still being noticed as Native Americans, or later on to so-called freed slaves or so-called slave populations. And you're like, yes, because exactly, He said He was going to contend with those who contend with us. You see all these towns with all the bad race history and race riot histories, they're being rocked with tornadoes and earthquakes and storms and floodings and all kinds of shit, bro. They don't even know what the fuck to do. You see those nations all pretending to be the biblical nations and these ancient biblical, they're all getting rocked with shit too. Like that fucking earthquake tore Turkey apart, and now they're having fires in Greece and all this other shit, bro. They're having problems. But He said He was going to make them, He was going to confound them and trouble them forever. And remember that explosion in Lebanon? Bro, remember that shit? That shit was like crazy. You know, but that's what He said He was going to do, bro. So, you know, praise the mighty one. Hey, if y'all scared, y'all better pray. Y'all better pray, bro. You know, I'm not saying I'm fearless. I'm saying, like, I'm going to be scared when a tornado happens. Y'all scared at the result of this. I'm like, bro, the Most High sends a tornado my way, I'm good. You know, I really do believe I'm protected too, because like right before this whole Corona thing went down, I gotten really sick, and it was right before Corona. Like I was really, really sick. It was probably Corona. I didn't know. This is before anyone even heard of that shit. I was super, super sick. I thought I was going to die, and it was hard for me to stand up or go to sleep. I could barely walk because I had such shortness of breath. But you know what? I took my life in my hand. I was like, bro, I'm gonna pray to God. I'm gonna go to sleep. And if I die, then fuck it. My life's in your hands. I'm going to leave it up to you. If you want me here, I'm going to stay here. But I went to sleep the next day, and I was super sick when I went to sleep. The next fucking day, I woke up, I was good. Straight, like 100% straight, like no sickness at all. And you know what? I was scared of going to sleep because I was scared of dying. But I was so tired of trying to like walk and shit that I didn't feel like I didn't feel like getting in my car. I didn't feel like driving to the hospital. I was sick as shit. And I thought I was going to die. But you know what? I fucking woke up the next day and I was good. So you know what? Like, I'll be damned if I'm scared of shit. I really, really, really thought I was going to die. Like, I had never been that sick before. And I'd never been so tired trying to walk. Like, out of breath trying to walk. Yeah, Australia got some shit coming too for what y'all did to the indigenous there, the Hebrews there. But you know, Australia's been through some stuff. Y'all had that whole mice plague. That's biblical. You know, but you know, you lucky you don't live in a place like America. America got the worst shit coming. But the same stuff I'm saying about America applies to Australia. Like, you go to any major city in Australia, you'll notice the same kind of castles and brick structures that I'm talking about, and cathedrals that I'm talking about. You'll see a lot of those stuff there too. That's what I'm saying. Like, and like the islands around Australia also have like what you would call like Hindu temples and things. There's things like that around there too. That's just not popular. It's not known. You know, I'll sit in my room all day and just read stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll pay $200 for a book if it's really interesting. You know what I mean? Like, some people won't do that. You know, they'll play a video game all day. Now, you know, I play some video games sometimes. But, you know, like I said, I'm going to just end it there, guys. Look for this on the YouTube channel. I don't know if you want to watch it again. If you haven't watched this, trying to build myself up on YouTube and Facebook. gonna branch out some more. I have a TikTok. I'm just, I don't have time to like manage all these platforms. I need to hire an assistant, but I don't believe in hiring people anyway. So that's gonna be I'm my own one man army here. So I'm kind of like frantic all the time, running around trying to gather information. Then I gotta go to work, and I hate working. I hate working because it's like I don't want to do that. I want to do other stuff, But if I can build up enough of a fan base and enough of a income from YouTube advertisements or whatever, or fan base donations or whatever, I could be like my own like type archaeologist. Go to this town, check that out. Go to this place, check it out. And actually get video and footage and things like that. Get away from this whole work mind state. Company I work for is trying to bribe me with a bonus for getting units. This job's hard as shit though, and them units come at a cost, bro. Cause you gotta dig holes. This job hard as shit, and I'm like, I'm about to go back to painting. You know what I mean? All right, guys. Yo, Most High bless all y'all. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm leaving it there. Yo, if you watch my video, thank you. If you share my video, thank you. Like I said, I do a couple different kind of videos on my YouTube channel. This goes on my Facebook and my YouTube. This is what I do. Much love and respect. Definitely check out all the people I mentioned and all the YouTube channels I mentioned. Check out my group on Facebook. Peace, fam.